thing going on.
Good afternoon. I stand on a protocol that has already been established. Now, I am a teacher by profession. And if I go into the classroom and somebody's essay sounds like the essay before that, and the next one sounds like the same one before, you know what I'm going to say? They copy. Now let me tell you, my essay is going to sound like some other people spoke before, but I never copied. And I did not show them what I had, so I don't think they copied. So what I say is, when you hear me say something that you heard already, just say, or make some other rhythm with your voice, because you know we're musical, right? Good. Now I give it a privilege, though, to have been asked to present this reflection on the occasion of Jamaica's 57th independence celebration. And yes, I am nervous, but I would not have relinquished this opportunity to share my thoughts on the land of my birth. The task, however, holds one conundrum. What do I say? Not that there's any shortage of things to say about this former jewel in the British crown, now jewel of the Caribbean Sea, but still a conundrum. And after much contemplation, I arrived at one conclusion. Jamaica is a place of ironies. We are admired internationally for so many things, like sports, culinary tradition, our cultural art forms, our natural environment, and hospitality that foster the growth of tourism. But, like most developing countries, we are still experiencing growing pains. Interestingly, the theme for this year's celebration, you just heard it, is One Nation, One People. This implies that no matter what we achieve or what pains we experience, we are in it together because we are one. We rejoice together as one when things are good. So when things are bad, we must collectively take responsibility as one. Before I expand on the extremes, however, let me reflect for a little while. Let us all reflect for a little while on our history, because you just heard it already too. It was our own Marcus Garvey who penned the immortal words, "A people without a knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots." I, as a historian, am inclined to indulge and even embellish a little about our history and culture. Most of our ancestors came from West Africa. They were brought here by the British after they took over the island from the Spanish. They were brought here to work as slaves on the large sugar plantations of the British. Bakra never really cared much for the slaves' well-being. He only wanted them to work hard, and in doing so, he beat them mercilessly. He wanted them to work without question and without pay. Many of them died from the hard work. But they didn't just take all the beatings without resisting. Some of them resisted so fiercely that the British government had to sign treaties with them for their cooperation. People like the Maroons, led by Kojo and his sister Nanny, fought valiantly against slavery. So too did Shamshar, who led the Christmas Rebellion. Yes, they died while fighting, but their fighting was not in vain. With the help of some abolitionists, slaves were eventually freed on August 1, 1838, thus our yearly celebration of emancipation. After the slaves were freed, most of them ran so far from the plantation that the owners couldn't find enough workers. So they had to go to places like India, China, and even Europe to find additional laborers. So now with the population of Jamaica mixed up with people from Africa, Asia, and Europe, our motto is aptly chosen. Out of many, one. Life was not easy for the poor working class people in the late 1800s. That's when George William Gordon and Deacon Paul Bogle entered the fight. They were hanged for their roles in the Morant Bay Rebellion, which brought about major political and social changes. In the early 1900s, Marcus Garvey saw the need for black people to unite and to be proud of themselves. So he started a Black Pride movement. Riots and strikes were rampant in the 1930s, so people like Norman Manley and Alexander Bustamante started forming political parties and trade unions to get workers organized. Many more changes would take place in the mid-1900s that would eventually lead to independence. When Jamaicans voted against the West Indian Federation in 1961, Premier Norman Manley knew that the sign was on the door. It was time to prepare for independence. With the Independence Constitution approved, Manley called the election, and you all know the rest? Buster won. And so on August 6, 1962, Jamaica became an independent, sovereign nation. Ladies and gentlemen, the history cannot be lost on us. For their hard work, courage, determination, sweat and blood, many of these fighters were made national heroes of Jamaica. Some have gone unsung, however. So we can all agree with Aya Concord when he said, fellow Jamaicans, when I examine our home country today, I see the need for a new breed of fighters. What do we need to fight for, you may ask? Permit me to quote from retired journalist Barbara Gluden's article, Let's Keep Our Jamaica, in which she laments the social conditions in our country today. Quote, why do we find ourselves running away from killers? Why are children being included on the destruction list? What happened to the love which we used to give, not only to our own children, but to all children? How comes in part of our country, there's more killing that could be seen on some movies? Where is our love for neighbor? Where is our love for country above self? End quote. Yes, I see the need for new fighters. Now I know many of us are working hard, and thankfully our government is not oblivious to this scourge, but has launched initiatives to combat the worst of the crime and violence invading our precious land. You just heard about Zoza, right? The irony of all of this is Jamaica is excelling internationally. Economically, the World Bank Group report of just May this year states that Jamaica has made an economic turnaround that is quite extraordinary. And one evidence of this is the transformation of the downtown's Kingston waterfront. It look good, eh? The report also states that we are experiencing the lowest level of unemployment in decades, and the government has been able to meet its financial obligations both nationally and internationally. Jamaica is also a front runner among Caribbean countries in promoting climate and financial resilience in the face of natural disasters. The report concludes, today, more than ever before, young Jamaicans can dream of a brighter future where every little thing is gonna be alright. Alright. Of note, the phenomenal growth in tourism of late is a significant catalyst behind this phenomenal economic boom. Peso get it right then when him sing. Socially, despite the vast cultural differences among peoples in food, music, religion, dress, we are still exclusively inclusive. Talk about ironies. Recently, two major components of our culture, reggae music and patois, climbed new heights internationally. Last year, UNESCO recognized reggae as being worthy of global protection and preservation. Here is part of the glowing tribute that UNESCO lavished on reggae. The basic social functions of the music as a vehicle for social commentary and a means of praising God have not changed, and the music continues to act as a voice for all. Legendary Bob Marley lives on. Our native tongue, patois, is a fantastic expression born out of oppression. But I bet someone would have never knew say, patois is now considered a standard language. Yes, my dear child. Some people do research and conclude that patois is very similar to English language, complete with subject, object, and verb. Or, no, if you really want, you could use one word to make the whole sentence, like, already. My dear, patois can be used on any stage, no matter the circumstance. Who remember when Nelson Mandela came to Jamaica in 1991? Well, child, I can vividly recall that the late great Professor Rex Nettleford, with alacrity, informed the freedom fighter that the Jamaican children were not mispronouncing his name when they say Mandela. What they meant is, man is here. You should have seen the soon-to-be South African president rock with delight with a play on his name. Or, some people use it to endear themselves to us. Me don't remember this one. Wagwan Jamaica. Big up. Big up yourself. Big up the massive, right? That is Jamaican patois for you, my dear. Most delightful, most dramatic, most dynamic, derived, not corrupt. Miss Lou, I'm telling a long time though, but someone will never believe. On top of music and patois, we have sports. Pick up the reggae girls who follow the reggae boys the other day. Rugby growing fast, and we have girls bobsled team and all of that. Now, I'm not talking about the traditional ones like the track and field, cricket, netball, football. We know those, but big them up still, right? Say big up. Ladies and gentlemen, with all of our accomplishments and our rich history, we should be a nation of togetherness, peace, unity, and love. We are a talented and creative people. Indeed, we're little, but we power. We aim high all the time, and we second to none. So, to whom much is given, much is expected. Remember what Coffee said? Gratitude is a must. To us. We must be grateful for all that we have achieved and continue to aim high. But in the process, we must be respectful to others, no matter where we are. We must continue to hoist our colors proudly as a Jamaican diaspora and work together as one to build up our homeland. Let us take our pledge before God more seriously and affirm our national anthem as it is, a prayer. Eternal God, bless our land. Guard us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil powers. Be our light through countless hours. Let us continue to fight. I say that again. Let us continue to fight for justice, brotherhood, and peace, and to think generously and to honestly, so that Jamaica may, under God, increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity. welfare of the whole human race. Our history shows that we have done wonderful things in the past. With God's help, we can continue to do wonderful things in the future as we work together as one nation, one people. For we are Jamaica, one nation, one people. Say it with me, Jamaica, one nation, one people. Thank you.